A few months ago, I was in Denver at the American College of Lifestyle Medicine conference. And I was staying in a hotel and they happened to offer a free breakfast bar. So I'm all about one to save some money. So let's jump downstairs after I worked out and I was just looking around to see what I could eat on my whole food plant-based diet. Most of the time I'm a little disappointed and I end up getting like a Starbucks oatmeal or something. But this place not only had oatmeal, but they had in this one corner a bowl of fruit. Most of the time, you're excited if it has bananas that aren't too green or too dark, and or maybe they might have a bruised apple or two. But on this particular day, I saw an Asian pear, and I don't know if you've ever seen these, but they are tasty like a pear and they're crunchy like an apple. They're the most delicious divine fruit, right? Besides blueberries. I do love blueberries. But it was really interesting a thing that happened to me as I was approaching this bowl of fruit thinking, no way. Because these things are expensive, number one, but they're so tasty. It's just a fun thing to find because they don't always available. I was amazed that it was there and it brought me the most significant joy. And it was the craziest thing. I called it finding my Asian pear. It was like a moment that transformed me into that now, right? It like I was suddenly present with this pear, this extraordinary yet ordinary Asian pear really changed my entire being. I felt like almost such joy and excitement, like almost to giggle. It was the craziest thing I've ever experienced. And I did a live about it. It was right afterwards. It's somewhere in one of these lives. And that was back in, when was that? Oh, that was closer to October. It wasn't December. It was on my birthday, around my birthday time. And um, so I found that was just an ordinary moment. And I had an extraordinary connection with it. It was like being so present and so grateful for what I had found. And I was like, how can I find this? How can I connect to this every single day? And I think what this is you're really seeing the power of the now, being aware every moment of every day. So, when I was first introduced into really mindfulness, it was several years back, but really kind of started to understand it was with my friend Dr. Jed Brewer, who's written several books, Unwinding Anxiety. He's got a new book. I'm going to be interviewing him on the hunger habit, some great stuff. He's done tons of research. He's got a great story himself about his own anxiety when he was in medical school and how he overcame it. But I was just thinking mindfulness was using your mind to connect to the moment. It's very different. It's not taking thoughts and forcing yourself to be mindful. It's just observing and no judgment, no thoughts, just connecting. And when you look at a particular thing, so let's say it could be any object, it could be this pen, right? So I'm sitting here looking at this pen and I'm not saying, oh, it's a blue pen or it's a silver pen, it writes nicely. I'm just like, it's a pen, right? Just like my Asian pear. If I had an Asian pear, I'd bring out the Asian pear. But, holding the Asian pear, I could feel its weight. I could almost sense the sweetness that was in it. Thinking about its journey, how it got there. Someone at the hotel had to buy it and thinking it was worth the money. And so that's where today is. I want to share with you how you can really find your daily zen in just these daily routines. And I think you'll be quite surprised at the joy and the peace and the serenity that it brings to you in that moment. And the more you do it all day. Like you find that you're at relaxed, regardless of what's stressing you out or whatever's going on in your life circumstances, but you really start connecting to everything. And I feel like this is where we start living when we're not thinking ahead, right? So sometimes we're projecting into the future and worrying about. So our minds are in the future to some illusionary story that we're telling ourselves to either one, we're worried about, or two, we're trying to make ourselves feel better, or we're hooked to the past, right? We're looking over our shoulder all the time at the past and seeing what that's done to us. So, and I'm not saying the past isn't important, that it shaped you. But instead of having the past anchor you down in stress and anxiety, because we all have stories that were difficult in our past. My goodness, if I could tell you some of the stories I've been through, make your skin crawl. And but what I found is very hopeful is if I take that painful past, I can transform it into the present and make it useful. And then it's not so painful anymore. So, but getting back to the mindfulness piece, I really want you to check this out. So I made some notes. You know me, I'm liking my notes. And um, yeah, I'm hoping this is really helpful for you. Okay. So really this is about building your mindfulness muscle, right? It's like a muscle like anything else. If you lift weights, you get stronger. If you exercise, your heart gets stronger. You use your mind, it gets sharper. Same thing with mindfulness, any type of practice. This is really a matter of building the mindfulness muscle, but it's so easy, guys. It's just such a small incremental thing you can do. And basically, you're just incorporating that mindful practice into everyday, small, ordinary tasks. And remember that at its core, mindfulness is about being fully present. And I think I never fully understood or felt mindfulness until that day when I found the Asian pear. That is what it feels like. And I don't know how to explain it other than just being present. But anyway, engaged, and you really want to be fully engaged in the current moment without judgment. So it's observing, using your senses, feeling it without making thoughts, right? So try not to think about thoughts. And if they do, you just kind of let them waft through you, let them go through. Eckhart Tolle had one thing that he mentioned was like, if there's a sound or something that's bothering you, just imagine yourself as transparent and it just goes right through you. Instead of reacting, maybe the thoughts just go through you or someone's saying them, just let them go through you. That's kind of like I decided to let my thoughts, when they percolate, it's like, oh, they're just going to flow right out. Anyway, so that's the whole idea here, is just being present, looking, let's say at this pen or your hand, it could be anything, the plants, the trees, wherever you are, just pick an object and try it. And if you start thinking about it, just observe it, say thanks, and let it move on. Anyway, so here's a few ideas about your regular daily routines. So first of all, mindful eating, right? So you really want to turn meals into a mindful experience. You can start by observing the colors and textures of your food, chew slowly, kind of savor each bite, really paying attention to the flavors and the sensations in your mouth. And then that not only enhances the enjoyment of your meal, but also it helps with digestion and portion control. And if you've ever heard of the raisin experiment, so they basically encourage you to take a raisin and you're just kind of doing this practice, mindfulness practice, and you hold it in your hand, again, just looking at it, observing the colors, the smell, trying to use as many of your senses to ground yourself in that moment, listening to it as you rub it between your fingers, and then put it in your mouth and chew slowly. Chew it until it's literally disintegrated. And then you swallow, and then you just reflect back on the experience. So that would be mindful eating. Another way to do this, if you wolf down food like I have been known to do, eat with the opposite hand. That will slow you down. And then, of course, removing distractions, things like that. Another one is mindful walking. I love walking and being mindful because there's so many amazing things in nature that you can observe. And again, this can be as simple as when you're walking to your car, your office, around your neighborhood. You really just focus on the experience of walking, right? So how does your feet feel touching the ground? Notice your breath, observe the environment. Do you feel a breeze? Do you smell anything? Like we have some lemon eucalyptus that we passed by. It's like, wow, it's very fragrant. What are the sounds you're hearing? Are there bird sounds? Are there different types of birds? Are there squirrels chirping? Is there traffic nearby? Are there people talking? Are there dogs barking? This really helps you bring you into the moment. And next, mindful showering. So many of us are jumping in the shower and we're like rushing around thinking about what we have to do. What if we slow down and just really try and use that as an opportunity to practice mindfulness, right? So notice the temperature of the water, the sensation of the droplets on your skin. If you look up the faucet, how's the water coming out? Look around, see how it streams. How do you smell the soap or the shampoo, right? Again, just being focused in that moment, you may find you walk out of the shower even more refreshed and ready to attack your day than if you didn't. So next, mindful breathing, right? So I think we all know that taking a deep breath can really help relax you, but you really can do a few different things here. You just want to focus in, especially when you're stressed or anxious, looking inward and catching your breath, right? Not catching, but noticing your breath. Sometimes if you're struggling to sleep in the middle of the night, immediately go back to your breath. Lay on your back if you can, and just as you breathe in through your nose, you can go out your mouth or nose, whatever's comfortable for you, and just listen to the breath, feel the breath, think about the body. That will be very, very helpful in helping you get back to sleep, but also brings you again to the moment. Okay, mindful listening. This is really very important. Have you ever had a conversation with someone who you felt like they just really got you, like they just listened, like you felt heard and seen? I think this is really powerful. So, not only just paying attention to the words, but allowing any thoughts that you have, or, or if you're already starting to think about, man, this is what I need to say in this moment, try to just let that pass, but just, maybe watching their mouth or watching their face as they're talking, listening and understanding what they're saying. When they're taking pause, really think about, what's going on between the pauses. Not even thinking about thinking, but just listening, allowing what they're saying, the words just kind of infiltrate you, and see if you can connect to their emotion or what they're saying in that way. Because that really allows you to connect with that person on a deeper level. And I think they'll feel it, they'll resonate with it. Okay, next, mindful chores. Who knew? I know, like cutting, like on a chalkboard, if you're cutting veggies and stuff, it's almost like a rhythmic, right? That can be a very mindful moment. You can, the crunch, the how easy your knife goes through. Again, the sounds and smells and textures, washing dishes, washing your hands, even putting on your shoes, right? What about you put on your shoes? You're just being thinking here about the shoe. I know it sounds crazy. How does your foot feel when it's going in? How does it feel when you tie your shoe? Are the shoelaces frayed at the end? So many things you can observe just about these simple moments. But what this is doing, these little incremental steps are really creating your mindfulness muscle. And it really makes the rest of your day go so much better. I can't tell you how that day where I found that Asian pear, it transformed, like for day and a half, 2 days. I was like, I felt like I was walking like with so much more energy. I felt lighter, and just full of this energy that I hadn't really truly experienced before ever in my life, in such an ordinary experience. And then also mindful waiting. How many of us are doing waiting, right? We're waiting in a traffic jam. We're waiting in line to buy something. We're waiting for this. We're waiting for whatever. Instead of being stressed about, oh, it's taking so much time, why don't we turn inward and use this time to, again, just look at your surroundings. Notice your thoughts and feelings as they come up and allow them to flow. Just bringing your attention back to the present moment. And I think, by infusing this mindfulness into your everyday tasks, you're not only strengthening your mindfulness muscle, but it really does increase your overall quality of life. It reduces stress. It increases your enjoyment of just doing the things that we all have to do, those mundane things. It just kind of really brings a greater sense of peace and presence. You'll find that you don't stress out so much about things in the future, but if you find that you are thinking and worrying something about something in the future, come back to the moment, and that anxiety will come down. And anyway, I hope that's helpful. I really wanted to kind of go back to that day. It was such a powerful moment for me. Fucking an Asian pear still cracks me up. But it's just, I think I understand now. I think the message has finally come home as to why it was so powerful, because it was a mindful, full present moment. Like probably the first time in my life that I felt like that. And, I'm in my 50s at this point. I hope you guys find it sooner, but if you never have, it don't matter what your age, but what an incredible experience, and to be able to reflect on it. I hope you found this helpful. Please click below and tell me about any mindfulness moments you've had, or how maybe you think this might be helpful in incorporating, mindfulness into your day. And like always, I want to thank you for listening. And I feel like you've given me your time, which is your most precious asset in this world. I want to give something back to you every day. I want to wish you joy, peace, and love. And I'm sending that to you. So if you're hearing that, know that it's coming. And yes, thank you for being here. And I hope you find this was helpful. All right, guys, I'll be back later and have a great rest of your day.